Hey, welcome back. Joining me now, co-host of Fox News Channel's The Five and author of And the Good News Is, Lessons and Advice from the Bright Side, Dana Perino. Dana, love your optimism, and I don't think it could come at a better time for this country. So we've got a lot of stories. First up, today there were big protests at McDonald's. Everyone's talking about $15 minimum wage. I'm beginning to feel like they're crafting this. You look at these photographs, the signs, the posters, the people in the crowds, as some sort of new civil rights movement of sorts. Where do you come down on this?
Well, I think that is a successful communication strategy on behalf of the unions would be to professionalize it. I think that the movement, if you look at the popularity of raising a minimum wage, it's out there and it exists. And if the local governments want to do that, I think that is appropriate. It is not without consequence, however, and I think that anybody who tells somebody working a minimum wage job that if we get this to $15 an hour, your life is going to be so much better, they're wrong, because the government is taking money from you in every other way, in an increasing way, through taxes, energy, as well as even education costs going up. Also,
you know, I think I heard Steve Jobs talking about this, and, you know, he's not some raving conservative, but he said the interesting thing is you have such a small portion of the population that makes that amount of money, but everyone would have to bear the consequences of higher food prices, fewer jobs. So that means all of our food bills goes up. So every poor person,
including theirs.
Right. Every poor person would have to pay more.
Right.
Another real big issue for 2016, obviously, foreign policy.
Big time.
The last week has been an unmitigated disaster. Now, the Obama administration said today we're not losing against ISIS, the JV team. But when I saw all those flags and all the photographs from over there, you know, of course, in Syria, now they control half the country. It's hard not to. How do you weigh winning and losing these days?
Well, I think the White House is right in saying that they've had a setback. I mean, they sort of sugarcoated it, but they got to a better place towards the end of the week to say, we understand this is not good. And they also, on background, are telling reporters that they are thinking about changing their strategy, which I think is right.
Well, they sent 1,000 missiles, right? They said today they're going to send 1,000 of these handheld shoulder launchers.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter if there's not an overall strategy. Secretary Robert Gates, former Secretary of Defense, was on television this week, and he said that we do not have a Middle East policy. So that's another problem. So there's a tactical problem, the military problem, as well as a political problem.
But it also seems to be a problem for the Republicans. I mean, because it feels like this is one issue.
I think it's a problem for everyone.
I mean, but whoever wants to be president, that's what I mean. Whoever in the GOP lineup, do you say, hey, you know what, we're going to go in there and we're going to go with boots on the ground, which is never popular in America, but it is a quagmire. How do you
I don't think that if you're a candidate, I would never say right now, this is exactly what I would do, because you don't have any of the information. I think what you have to say is, this is the kind of decision maker I am. These are the kind of people I surround myself with. I trust experts. I believe in America. I want to make sure we do what's in America's best interest, and that could be making sure that we have a freer Middle East. That might be something that you could say, but you cannot say, I'm going to send 100 troops in or even 1,000 troops in. And you should never say, I'll never send troops anywhere, because as soon as you get into the Oval Office and every problem lands on your desk, you'll have to change your mind.
I guess that's right up there with saying I'll never raise taxes.
It's right up there with saying that we should get rid of the NSA spying program.
Well, let's talk about that. Rand Paul, he made his stand June 1st that one particular section that allows them to collect metadata, in other words, spy on every single person in the country by any means necessary.
That's not what it says, though.
Well,
it is the perception, and it's very dangerous and disingenuous. The NSA has already said that they would be willing to modify the program, so I actually think this is a little bit of a moot point.
Trust them on their own without any sort of parameters?
There is congressional oversight, and if Rand Paul and his colleagues want to do more oversight, great. The problem is when you have somebody who had an anti-establishment rhetoric, like let's get rid of the NSA program. Now he wants to be president of the United States. What's the #1 constitutional duty of that person? To protect the country. You have to collect the haystacks in order to try to find the needle. And he's going to want those haystacks when he's president of the United States.
Well, that's always the issue, right? That's why when sometimes we'll see where one party is in control of Congress and you wonder, why don't they come down harder? I think a lot of people have been really disappointed. A lot of Republicans have been really disappointed with the party post the midterm elections. Is part of the reason they're not coming down harder on President Obama is that they think maybe they'll be in the White House and they'd love to keep some of these powers that otherwise, like executive orders?
I think that there's just very little that can be done. If you're being realistic, you can't tell your constituents, we're going to be able to reverse an executive order, because guess what? You can't. So giving people false hope is actually more damaging not only to your career but to the country.
All right, let's talk about your book. Because, You are one of these people that you make people smile. You make people happy.
Oh, thanks.
And I think it's because, in part, you've got a great personality, but you're also a straight shooter. What will I get? What will people get? What's the main message you want them to get from the book?
Well, one of the things I love is that it's 5 books in one. And I did an event with Pfizer the other day. I just went and talked to the corporate communications and government affairs people. And Sally Sussman, who runs that for Pfizer, she said she read the book and she took away lots of different things from it and then got it for all of her younger staffers. And she said everyone can benefit from this book. That even she, at the high level of her career, said, I hadn't thought about that. I should do that. And I just bring a lot of anecdotes to how I watched President Bush lead. And then how I learned, I also managed the press office and was a spokesperson for the President of the United States.
But is the core about remaining optimistic or seeing,
well,
you know, you say seeing the bright side. In other words, knowing things can be better?
Correct. But also I think in graduation season, you probably talk to young people, they all want the GPS for their career. They want to be told when to exit and when to turn left. And my point is that every time I tried to make a plan, my plans were never as good as what God had in store for me. And so by paying attention and being willing to take a risk and listening to other people's advice and taking it, I actually was able to propel myself from cattle ranching in eastern Wyoming growing up to the White House and now at Fox News. I mean, I've had a lot of great opportunities.
I love the story, your father and President Bush, but also you and I talked about how this may have a special impact on young women. I got a power panel coming out in a moment. All women talking about, one of the things we're going to talk about is a new survey out that says that women come into the workforce more enthusiastic than men, thinking about the top office, and within 2 years they almost all lose it. Would a book like yours maybe kind of help them around those obstacles?
I hope so, because I think in some ways you get in there, you're excited, then you realize this is going to be a harder slog than I thought in order to get to the top. Right. And maybe that's one of the reasons that there would sort of, as Sheryl Sandberg would say, they would lean out of the opportunity. I also think that they could find a couple of things in there that can help them in their lives. One is that choosing to be loved is not a career-limiting decision. I would not wait to try to find that perfect moment when you're going to be able to find love. A life partner can actually enhance your life. And the other thing is you can learn from me. I did a terrible thing and did not take care of my health during the highest stress part of my life at the White House, and I paid a price for it.
Really?
And if I were to do anything over again as press secretary, if I had a chance, I would go back and I would have taken better care of my health, and that's from nutrition.
Did you have the option?
Sleep.
Oh.
Yes, I think we all have the options. The only thing that you can actually control is how you take care of yourself, right. And I let my job get in the way of that, and then that hurt my performance, and I think that's an important part of the book. It's very open and candid about that.
Can't wait for everyone to read it. It's already a bestseller. Appreciate you taking the time. Dana Perino, and the good news is we really appreciate it.
Thank you.